All right, you're watching Battle of Champion, and the news at the moment is that New Zealand have made their first ever T20 World Cup final. That after they beat England in the first semi-final of this edition by 5 wickets. They still had 6 balls remaining, considering that it was a very stiff target that England set at 166 for 4. You'd have to say it's been quite a performance there from the Kiwi team to reach that target with an over to spare. At one time, it looked like that New Zealand are going to buckle under pressure because they lost 2 crucial wickets to begin with. They were down 13 for 2, but from there on to post a recovery as they have has been an incredible performance from the New Zealand team. So that's the big story at the moment. On our program, we will also be joined by Sunil Gavaskar, who's going to help us analyze this particular encounter. Remember, we were building this up as sweet revenge for the Kiwi team. Will they be able to do it after that heartbreaking loss against the same opposition that came at the 2019 World Cup, where they actually even tied the match, then tied the super over on a boundary count back, lost that title to England. But this particular encounter where England went in as the favourites, New Zealand have done an upset, you could say, or even say that this has been a completely shifting of the apple cart. Okay, let's take a look at the highlights now and how the team performed, both teams. It was England that were batting first after New Zealand won the toss and put them in, and this is how the innings panned out. It was Bairstow that was the first wicket to fall. He fell for 13 of 17 ball, caught there by Williamson, bowled by Adam Milne. So it wasn't a great start there for the English team. Then the big wicket, you could see now, that is Jos Buttler out for 29 of 14, trying to hit that reverse hit, but wasn't quite successful at that. LBW to Ish Sodhi. The next wicket would have been of David Malan, but he was dropped there by Conway, and this proved to be very, very crucial for the New Zealand team, because from there on Conway just paying that price, because Malan kept hitting boundaries after boundary, smashing 41 of just 30 deliveries, and then Moeen Ali giving him company with 51 of 37. There you could see reaching his first ever half century of this T20 World Cup. So that is what propelled England to that score of 166. After that, you had the Kiwi team coming out to chase a very, very stiff total, and they lost quick wickets. The first one to fall, you can see now, has been Guptill for 4 runs. He was caught by Moeen Ali off the bowling of Chris Wokes. Then they got another big blow. Kane Williamson trying a paddle sweep, but then caught by Adil Rashid again off the bowling of Chris Wokes for just 5. That means at one stage New Zealand were 13 for 2 and staring down the barrel. But from there on, the recovery started. Conway, who dropped that chance, made amends with the bat, stitching together a 82-run stand with Conway, as well as you could see Daryl Mitchell there doing very well. Conway was then out 46 of 38, stumped off Liam Livingstone, and then later Jimmy Neesham stepped up to the plate, smashing 6s after 6 off that Chris Jordan over. 23 runs came off that over, and then Jimmy Neesham got 27 of 11. Daryl Mitchell then really helping the cause of his team, reached his first 50 of this World Cup with a 6 of Adil Rashid. In the end, they reached their target rather comfortably with an over to spare. Okay, joining us on the program is Sunil Gavaskar. Sunil bhai, you were wearing what are these? The New Zealand colours, the All Blacks. You must be a happy chappy at the moment.
No. This is the ICC Test Championship, merchandise T-shirt. It's not the All Blacks thing, but you could say that I was supporting New Zealand. I mean, apart from Englishmen, tell me who doesn't support New Zealand? Because they're such a terrific team, a team that plays within the spirit of the game. They win the Spirit of Cricket Award just about every single time because of the way they conduct themselves on the field and off the field. And what they've shown more than anything else is that you can be gentlemen on the field and yet win, and go on to win the hearts of cricket lovers all over the world. So I'm so happy for them.
Okay, so we spoke about this game when we were building up to it, and reminded everyone of that 2019 50-over final, how unfortunate New Zealand were to miss out on that title. I know that Kane Williamson is like a model cricketer, will not use like revenge, but you'd have to say a sweet revenge on this occasion.
Yes, I think something that they would have been looking forward to, because they haven't actually played England after that. I think they did at the start of the English season, but in a World Cup event, this is the first time that they played. And don't forget, even in this game, as they were going towards victory, you saw that one little incident where Adil Rashid was, in a way, obstructed by the non-striker, Daryl Mitchell, and they didn't go for a run. The ball was, going towards the long on fielder. They could have walked a run, but New Zealand, true gentlemen, they didn't go for the run, because they realized, the non-striker realized that he had come in the way of the bowler. Now, the non-striker is going forward to take a run. So it really is that he's not done it deliberately. It was an accident, but he still did not go for that run, one run. And in a close encounter like this, every run matters. But for New Zealand, playing the game in the right spirit is more important than winning matches. Winning hearts is more important than winning matches.
All right, just to give our viewers a bit of a context, there was this massive controversy in that 2019 final when the ball ricocheted off Ben Stokes' bat, and then that went on for 4 runs. In the end, made a major difference to what the result was. Saibhai, would it be now, I'm just looking at the result in totality, the way New Zealand chased it down, and then that stiff total that was put in front of them. Would it be fair to say that this is still an upset as good as New Zealand have played? Because England went in, not just in this particular encounter, went into this tournament as the tournament favorites.
It is an upset. It is an upset. But again, it is an upset only because nobody rates New Zealand. New Zealand always fly under the radar. They're a very good team. They might not have superstars, because rugby is a super sport in New Zealand. So cricket is not such a game.
Right. Saibhai, we seem to have lost connection with you. Could you just check your mic? It just went on mute. Sometimes that tends to happen. I mean, such are the perils of technology. If you could just fix that, then I'd love to come back to you. In the meanwhile, let's just sum up the result for our viewers of how well New Zealand has played. And as Sunibhai was saying, that this is one team that everyone really loves. Saibhai, I'll let you continue. You were talking about that upset. Sorry, we lost your audio there.
Well, I mean, it's an upset because England have been a 50 overs champion, and also an upset because nobody actually rates New Zealand. New Zealand have been a very good white ball side, a red ball side for a number of years. Yeah. But because they don't have big names, in the sense that they are not superstars, rugby is the #1 sport in New Zealand. And therefore, cricketers perhaps, come down the pecking order as far as sports heroes are concerned in New Zealand. And so maybe the expectations are not quite there, and because there are no expectations from New Zealanders about their own team, the rest of the world also takes them lightly. But what we've seen today is an amazing performance. Yes, it was a stiff target. 8 runs, more than 8 runs and over is never easy, and particularly in a knockout game where the runs have been put on the board by the team batting first. So it's a fabulous victory by New Zealand. And yes, the good guys do finish first.
Okay, let's talk about that chase, because it was such an exciting chase at that halfway mark. Everyone would have put their money on England. As Sunibhai said, that 166. On top of that, it's a pressure game. That total becomes close to 200. That situation, if we were building up to this game, and if you asked anyone who are going to be the 2 crucial batsmen for New Zealand, everyone would have likely picked Guptill as well as Williamson. They lose both their batsmen, 13 for 2. From there on, to chase a target like that, and considering, Sunibhai, this is that same middle order that hasn't got too much of a run. Yes, Daryl Mitchell got those runs against India, but the rest of that middle order, whether it be Conway, whether it be later Jimmy Neesham, is not someone that had a lot of run in this tournament, not in tremendous form, and yet to achieve this total.
Yes, I think so. Basically it matters, when the chips are down, that you should come to the party, and that's exactly what these batsmen have done. Yes, Jimmy Neesham is a bit like a player who will play 1 innings in about 8 or 9 innings, but he played that innings today. What an innings, scoring at more than 240, the strike rate. Amazing. He was hitting the ball well. Yes, he had a bit of luck with that Johnny Bairstow catch, which he fell down on the boundary rope, and so it was a 6. But clearly, I think Jimmy Neesham's got the ability. We've seen it in the past because he's a big hitter. He can bowl usefully towards the end. Kane Williamson showed faith in him by giving him the 20th over of the England batting innings. So yes, I think it's good to see Jimmy Neesham do justice to his talent. I would like to see Martin Guptill do that as well, because he's another fine talent, but he's been an underachiever. most of the time. Yes, he's got that big 200 against West Indies in the World Cup in 2015, but hasn't done much. So hopefully in the finals.
So anyway, there was also a method to that madness when we are talking about the likes of Conway or Daryl Mitchell, as well as, Jimmy Neesham. We spoke about this, that one weaker suit that England has is that bowling, especially, after they missed out on a few very key bowlers in this particular tournament. They targeted that. I'm just looking at the figures here. Chris Jordan, one of the bowlers that was targeted, went for almost 10 runs and over, targeted the likes of Mark Wood. Now, these are the same bowlers that South Africa target. So clearly, there was some sort of action plan that New Zealand came with.
Definitely, because just look, Chris Jordan, even in the IPL, has always been taken for runs in the third and the fourth over. Maybe not in the first couple of overs, but in the third and fourth over of the IPL, he goes for plenty. The odd match, he will bowl well, but generally he goes for plenty, and that's why he doesn't always find a place in the playing 11 for any of the franchises that he's played for so far. So it wasn't really a surprise because he keeps bowling those same length balls which are hit for the boundaries and the sixes, like Jimmy Neesham did in that over, which cost Jordan and England 23. And again, Mark Wood is another bowler, got the pace, but again, bowling the length ball, which means, or even off the edge of the bat, or even off the thigh pad, even if there's something, the speed, the extra speed that he has means that it'll run away for boundary. So yes, I think teams do that. Teams do their homework. Teams say, look, this is a bowler we might not be able to get, 10 runs and over, but this is a bowler that we can look to get maybe 12, 15 runs and over. Maybe not the first couple of overs, but the last couple of overs that he bowls, and which will mean eventually that he's bowled his 4 overs for 40 or 40 plus runs.
Okay, just looking at a few things that England may have gotten wrong, Sunny bhai, and I'm going back to, we've often seen, and you've spoken about it, that win the power play, that becomes very, very important in T20 games, and we've seen that more so in the UAE. Throughout the IPL, that was one trend that was observed. So I'm going back to the England power play. How much do you think they miss someone like a Jason Roy? Because we've seen it in the past that Butler sometimes takes his time. It's Jason Roy who starts attacking, and Bairstow opening for the first time. All things went wrong there. 40 for 1 in the power play?
Well, I mean, Johnny Bairstow has been brilliant for the Sunrisers in the IPL. So you can't really fault him for that, but because he's opened the batting and he's done well. But yes, I think they did miss Jason Roy, because Jason Roy is a player who can get the team off to a flying start, can get the team off to a vertical takeoff, and that his injury certainly meant that you had 2 new opening batsmen at the crease, and which is never an easy thing. A pair is settled, a pair knows each other's strengths and weaknesses. So Butler and Jason Roy had built up that rapport, built up that partnership at the start till that injury took place. So suddenly in a knockout game, you have a new opening pair that doesn't help anybody.
All right, final word to you, Sunny bhai. We know, as you've mentioned, New Zealand are the good guys of cricket. They always stay under the radar. That's the other thing that we've spoken about. But one thing that viewers would love to know, what is it that makes them so dangerous when it comes to big tournament? How is it that they come to the big stage and then put their best foot forward?
I think they have a lot of belief in themselves. They are a very, very close-knit unit. It's a small country. So I think, when you get together as a team, you can see the unit over there. They're led by an absolutely terrific person, a person who will never put pressure on them to do well, a person who is respected for the way he handles situations, for the way he himself bats, for the legend that he is in cricket. So I think these things make a difference. When you have a leader who is respected, for whom the team will go out of its way, for whom the players will give that extra mile, for whom the players will give an arm and a leg, that makes a difference. And you saw that today in the approach. It was never an easy target. 8 plus runs and over, never easy. 167 was not easy, but they did it with deliveries to spare.
All right, what an incredible performance there from the Kiwi team. Sunil Gavaskar, thanks so much for joining us with that perspective. Now remember, England topped their group. New Zealand didn't quite top their group. But in the knockout games, what matters is how you perform on the given day. And on the day, you'd have to say that the Kiwi team was much better than the English team. That now takes them to their first ever T20 World Cup final. That's all that we have for you on this particular edition of our program. Thanks so much for watching.